Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar entitled Design a Way of Life and Career Too. I'm Jeel Kankaria and I will be hosting this webinar along with our speaker, Mr. Mohan C. He is an industrial designer by profession and a painter by hobby. He is a graduate of the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. He started his career as a design consultant in Chennai, moved in the accessory department of NIF New Delhi. He is one of the founding members of Talal, where he also teaches his favorite subjects. His areas of interest include painting and philosophy and design education in general. He emphasizes critical thinking with his students. He has done workshops on design for engineering students, R&D teams from industry, and at entrepreneurial development program. Thank you for joining with us in this webinar.
Good evening, Jill. Thanks for taking some time out to host this webinar. Good evening, everyone. Welcome you all to this webinar on design, a way of life, and a career too. I am C. Mohan, an industrial designer by qualification, design educator by practice. This webinar is aimed at bringing an awareness on design as an activity, design as a profession, design as professional practice, design education as a way of life. Thanks once again, and let's move into the webinar.
That's great, sir. I would like to inform our viewers that we are recording this session. So in case anybody wants access to the webinar, you can drop us an email along with your details and why you are interested in design, and we can send you the webinar. Second, in case of any questions, you can drop them in the chat box and we will get back to you towards the end of the session. Or you can drop us an email. So today's topic of discussion is design a way of life and career too. But before that, let's understand design. It is a question that everybody has a different answer or definition to. So let's begin with the same. What is design? Why do we need to have design education?
Okay. Before we move into the topic, I'll request our audience to bear with me when I have to refer to video material here, where I have the presentation, so that I don't miss out the points. Okay, to start with, design is an innovative process towards improving the usability of man-made world. While engineering aims at improving the functional aspects of the man-made world, design targets the usability of the man-made world. So what do we mean by usability? Let's say if a product promises you that there are 4 or 5 features in this given product, you should be able to access those 4 or 5 products if the product is targeted to you. If you are supposed to be the user of a given product, you should be able to use those 5 features that are there in the product. For some reason, if you're not able to find out where the features are, or for some reason you are not able to use the product features in these products, then there is a serious usability problem, right? So let's take this remote control, for example. 30 years back when the remote controls came into existence, there was a cord that was connecting the remote control to the television, and people could take it out of the TV, come back, sit in the sofa, use the remote control. From there to today, hats off to engineers and hats off to technology development, that we have a much more sleeker product, much more lighter product, more functions in it, and better battery life and durability, all of that. It uses different technology from what it used to do earlier. So no issues on engineering front, right? It's fantastic. But some of the usability problems were there at that point of time, and it still continues to be there. At that time also, some people could not find out why so many buttons are there, how to operate them, how to get at it. That was an issue there. Today also we have some remote controls where these usability issues continue being there. There are too many buttons there, and one doesn't know how to figure out what to use those buttons for. So it so happened that once my mother clicked on the mute button accidentally, and she was watching the TV for nearly 1 hour without getting the sound, and she thought there was a problem with the television. So I had to go spend some time to figure out what was the reason behind it and release the mute button. So why do these usability issues happen, right? So, but then usability issues are not confined only to products like this. Here I have an example of a mixie jar where in order to add strength to this plastic surface here, we see, ribs given in the inside. And this is the place where the chutney or the food that you're preparing is likely to be blocked. And as I'm trying to wash, what happens is I run my fingers over those ridges that are there, and hurting myself or finding it difficult to keep it clean. So here is, what happens when you have products which have so many grooves. You have the parts of the ingredients still stuck there, making it difficult to clean up. Issues like this are what we are talking about as usability. So there's nothing wrong in terms of the durability of the part. It's made of very good plastic. It's engineered well. It may last for 15, 20 years. But for those 15, 20 years, you are going to suffer this cleaning problem. So how do we look at problems like this and address them? The question then is, are these limited only to physical products?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Here is a product which is packaging of medicines, tablets. I've shown you two packages, two medical strips. One is a painkiller and another is for diabetics. So it so happened that my father was consuming this painkiller for nearly 8 or 9 days, and we were wondering why he's got a very high sugar level going up. We could not find this out. But accidentally, both the packages happened to be there, and he thought, because both looked suddenly similar, right? He thought he was eating the right tablet, and the name of the tablets and everything is written so small, and it's not easy to identify for an elderly person at 75, 80 years.
Right.
So he was consuming a painkiller for 6 days, 7 days, without knowing that he was consuming a painkiller. This could be fatal also, right? So we are here to address issues that can be extremely critical. Sane in that sense, design is a very, very responsible act, right? So we call this usability, but then usability doesn't limit itself to only ensuring good usability of the product. Usability also encompasses the visual design aspect. So you want to have satisfaction also in using or owning a product. Any young boy having a very chaka-chak motorbike or a person owning a BMW will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So visual design is also an important quality.
Important part.
Designers bring these two together in the products they design.
I think it's almost captivating when you say it is a responsible act. But why do you say design is a way of life?
Okay. At our institute in TIDES is Tamil Institute of Design and Environmental Studies. At our institute, students, if you come around breakfast time, which is around 6:30 in the morning, or lunchtime around 1:30 in the noon, you would see all the students and young faculty are also sitting on the ground and having their meals. Now, we intentionally did not provide a dining table surface. Even in the classrooms, in some places, we encourage students to sit down and work so that the legs are not hanging down when you are working. Because it's not a good practice to have legs hanging down where the blood goes down towards gravity, particularly when you are having your meal. So as designers, we are looking at what is good for the body and what's good for the mind also, right? So when the legs are hanging down when you're having your dinner and the blood is all right at the feet, digestion is affected. And we are here to do what? To design products and man-made systems so that it gives us a better quality of life. It's not meant to be just an aesthetically appealing product. right? It is also meant to be appropriate, be more meaningful to the way we want to live, to improve the quality of life. So seen that way, when we decided that we should not have a table surface where, or a chair surface where students are sitting on a higher level, legs are hanging down, right? So we said, we encouraged them to sit down and have their meal. So this is not the only point that we emphasize. There are a number of other things that we do very differently at Third, and there is a lot of science that goes into it, and it is just not for the heck of it. A student trained in this way is going to look at a dining process or a bathroom design or a restroom design, a WC or a commode design, any of this as a very different, in a very different way than otherwise. Which is why we say that design a way of life, because it has to. It's time that it influences our way of life. We cannot be just decorating stuff and keep saying that, yeah, I have done a good design.
Yeah,
We have
right.
to go beyond that and have our products and man-made systems more meaningfully done.
Absolutely. I think an approach like this will once again bring design being a way of living. But could you put some light on what a career in this field of design would be? Because I think a lot of students hesitate because of it, because they do not know what a career, what a profession in design would be like. They do not understand the job prospects and the remuneration that they could expect. So could you talk a little more about that?
Yeah. While I was talking about understanding design activity, I just missed out a point. I guess I can add it now.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to bring a parallel between civil engineers and architects. Civil engineers in a building ensure the structural stability and the structural functioning of a building, while architects make us feel uh, that, yes, this is a space. What a wonderful space, right? And they make us be able to use the space very meaningfully, very usefully. That's a fantastic parallel. Civil engineers is to architects as mechanical engineers is to designers, or which way you want to say. So designers, while mechanical engineers make sure that the products that we have around us function amazingly well, designers ensure that they can be used well. Put it
Right.
into that.
Yeah.
Okay, having said that, I will go back to your question now of what is this profession like? Um, every day in and day out, you are in an innovative process. You are in a creative process. You are imagining, you're being pushed to imagine the best that you can do to resolve a given problem. Because the challenge here is a small difference between engineering and engineering innovation and design innovation is engineers innovate with materials, with physics, with chemistry, with a number of mathematical principles, physics principles, the way materials work for them. They manipulate material innovatively to improve functionality. Whereas designers innovate with human nature, the user's characteristics,
Yes.
the psychology of the people, the physical characteristic of the people. Knowing this, they have to innovate. So the simple difference here is that materials do not change their behavior. They behave the same way whichever country you go to. Whereas people are not like that. If I'm designing something, a product for a given cultural clan, it changes. Within India, of course, it changes every 500 kilometers. You are meeting up completely different people, and their needs are different, requirements are different. Every individual has different tastes. Every individual has a different color liking and a different form, sense of form, and different sense of meaning. So this makes it more challenging and more complex to address design problems. So designers are pushed to be at their real creative edge and innovative edge because they are designing for people who are probabilistic in nature. They don't have the same likes and dislikes every time. So
Right.
that makes it very challenging. Normally, designers, if they are joining an industry, they work in the research and development wing. If they are joining a manufacturing industry, or if they're joining a communication design side, they may be working in TV channels. They may be working in design firms. They may be working for publication houses. And apart from joining a company, designers also run their own design firms. They can start their own design consultancy. Surprisingly, most designers do that. They form their own team. You know, two, three of their classmates, a combination of communication designers, furniture designers, and product designers join together. And sometimes they invite even their architecture friends. They join together and form a team, form a design consultancy, and that's another thing that they enjoy. Advantage being, every other day you are confronted with a new design problem. The third space is, of course, students initially join other design firms for some 2-3 years for understanding the know-hows of the job. Apart from this, students also work for craft sector. Craft sector is another place in India that invites a lot of designers. And needless to say, design education is another sector where designers enjoy because it's different to teach design. You don't have textbooks. So the designers who are practicing outside have to bring their experience as a fresh input to the student. So we invite a lot of designers. In fact, 70% of the faculty who come into Tadal Institute of Design are practicing professionals. We bring them in for exchange of the latest in what's happening in design. So
So,
these I say are the scope of what designers do in practice.
okay, yeah, I get it. Going back to when you were talking about usability and user-centric design and how we understand the behavior of human to design accordingly, how does this user-centric design apply to a different field of design, like say graphic design or say, another form of design, not particularly to industrial or product design? How would the application change then?
Yeah, I had mentioned about this tablet strip, which
Yeah.
is primarily communication design assignment, a packaging design assignment. Within the packaging, it's a matter of designing a communication material.
Okay.
We have seen visiting cards, business cards that people give you when you're going for a conference or whatever. Many times I've confronted situations where I need a spectacle to look at what the phone number is, because it's printed so tiny.
Right.
We have also come across pamphlets, brochures. Communication design also works in the field of design of web content and apps, where often text is very small. There is no concern given for, or the concern is missed out. When elderly people or people with vision problems are ignored,
Yeah.
communication design can be a very painful thing. We can take signage, for example. The
Yeah.
signage on the road is meant to be visible at least at 200-300 meters. But
Right.
many times signage, only when we come close to it, we end up seeing it. So
Hmm.
these are some places where usability of communication material is very critical,
Yeah.
and a space where communication designers can make a wonderful difference.
Yeah. But would it be right to say that when it comes to communication design and user-centric design, sometimes the material, and over here by material, I would mean the elements that they use, like say the color that they have used or the line depth and thickness that also matters. Unlike in product design, where the material sticks to its features, it stick to what it holds. But when we talk about communication design, it's not likely the same.
Um, okay. Um, True. See, when we say communication design, we do not want to limit it to only the typographic or the image content that is being represented on a signboard.
Right.
It is important for the communication designer to address the issues that you are talking about. For example, if they use a material, if they propose a material,
Right.
when printing is going to be damn good on it, but
Yeah.
it is exposed to the sunlight. So signage on the highway, for example, is exposed to the sunlight 24/7, 365 days,
Yeah.
which means the sunlight with its UV rays has a lot of deteriorating influence on the signboard. So the designer could have taken a lot of pain to put it in the right color, right contrast. For all you know, let's say, well, let's take a specific example. He could have used orange or reddish orange to bring in a certain level of aesthetics into it and certain contrast levels. For
Mm.
all you know, red is a color that fades away within a month under the UV rays.
Yeah.
Unless and until it's printed with or executed with high quality inks or paints, it is
Okay.
going to fade away. The kind of paints that you use on automobiles, unless you use something so expensive, the paint is going to fade away. Within a month, what happened to the contrast that you took so much time to build it? It just disappears.
Mm.
So leading to poor usability. So I come close to the signboard and then I notice it. For all you know, it's a small ignorance on the communication designer's part. Even though it was good on the very first day, it's not good on the 40th day. That's a
Mm.
sad story.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think
So
it's a challenge to understand the concept of design, especially when we start comparing industrial design and communication design. Because in the end, I think the challenge is almost similar because it is narrowed down to human behavior and the usability of whatever is being designed and put forward. So, tell me a little more about tides and how they explore such concepts along with environmental studies, and what is the foundation that it is based on.
yeah, okay. Tides, just to recollect again, TIDES is Thirl Institute of Design and Environmental Studies. Thirl basically means a flame. It's a Tamil word. It means flame. We thought of this word flame, Thirl, as a name for the institute because a flame is something that you could share with others and it could still be with you also. And the other person who carried the flame could continue sharing it with more and more and more people, and everybody would still have the flame with them. That was the idea behind it. But the reason for the word environmental studies is because to emphasize uh, that it is becoming a very important concern. Architects in many places have started addressing this concern of environmental issues because designers, engineers, and architects are at the starting point of a story of creation. The
Great.
moment we create something and specify a material, you can be sure that that particular material is going to be extracted out of this earth and used in abundance. So we have to be careful because this material also belongs to the animals and the plants that are using the earth, that have part of the earth. We don't ask them their permission before we take the materials off. The least that we can do is be very, very sensitive to the material. Unless and until it is necessary, we should not be using a material, which means now we need a serious rethinking of how to, rethinking as in more and more of us have to start thinking about how to carefully use this material. It has to become an important drive. So to emphasize this, we have added this word, environmental studies. But it is just not there in the name. In our practice, we try wherever possible. We have tried to be very much in tune with the environment. For example, business cards that we printed, visiting cards that we printed about 4 or 5 months back. We have printed it on cotton paper and
Oh,
with natural dyes. We had one of our earlier student coming and showing us material. His name was Kasi, Mutaya Kasi.
Okay.
He showed us material where he had used soil to print. And within the soil types only, he tried to create various colors, which we thought is wonderful. So
Yeah.
we went to the extent of going for our visual identity that can be printed with natural colors. Meaning, go for using colors that can be created with natural dyes. Don't go for what you like and then struggle looking for pigments, right? So
Right.
we wanted to emphasize that. In our practice, we use recycled paper for all our correspondence, and we use wood. We have tried to minimize plywoods as much as possible. We have not used thermocol at all in our model making process, and the campus is kept absolutely as much as possible plastic free.
Okay.
Right? And
Yeah.
this translate into our practice of design also. Many times we try to have, even though the projects are hypothetical, we try to have constraints which are from the environmental side. Meaning the students get to always be watchful about the environmental components in their design practice, whatever projects they do. There is often a small component of environmental constraint that is inbuilt into the project. We ensure that.
Okay. So, talking about the practice of design, could you talk about the academics a little? What sort of courses you're offering, and how are you meeting your academic term during this lockdown?
Okay. We are offering two of the standard programs that are very well acceptable. One is industrial design, and the other is communication design. In industrial design, we have furniture, accessories, and product design. In communication design, we have graphic design, typography, film and video, and animation. But the difference that we are right now working on and already started integrating into our courses is that one is a strong input in design management and entrepreneurial skills. And the second is UI UX. We wanted to strengthen this because we see on one side environmental concerns and design practice, the act of design being creative imagination, all that is there. But it's also important to have a career in this, a job, a good sound job. We wanted to strengthen those kind of inputs which the industry is looking for. Also, so in that sense, we are bringing in more inputs in UI UX and inputs in um, design practices, design management, how to
Okay.
set up a design firm, what is income tax, how to look at the legal issues of starting a design firm, what is partnership, what is private limited company, all this kind of inputs. We want to bring that. And we want to help the student move seamlessly into starting their own design firm, either if it is only a design firm or it's a design firm with a production setup. We want to support that. Particularly, we want to support them if they are moving into a manufacturing space which uses more of renewable resources. We want to support that. As our core philosophy, we want to support anybody who wants to move into a production space that uses renewable resources. We want to support.
So, trying to understand the courses that you have and everything. I mean, have you thought about any online courses like for students or
Right,
parents or
right,
teachers, or some sort of a design foundation course? Because understanding this lockdown, we do not
right.
know when on-campus programs will start, and for people to travel to different cities for education.
Right.
So, do you have any plans in any time soon in the near future for online courses where people can access to such courses?
Right. Yeah. That's a point that I just missed out. In spite of having it written right in front of me, I missed out.
It happens, yeah.
Okay. So at least two programs we are almost about to completing the details. One is design thinking, design creativity uh, along those lines. The other is UI UX. Um, because somehow, though most of the design learning needs to be hands-on, uh, uh, in this lockdown period, that has become extremely difficult. So we are trying to see the kind of programs that can be very beneficial and that can be absolutely done well, even remotely, even online.
Online.
So we're trying to filter out those kind of things, and we are working towards these two programs. One would be along understanding design and design thinking, design creativity, design process. The other would be on UI UX. Another things that some one or two which are in the pipelines are that something along the lines of accessory design, design of lifestyle products.
Lifestyle products. Okay.
Like, yeah, that I would say a lot of parents had contacted us earlier. Some of them wanted very, very specific modules. For example, they are doing some textile work already on their own,
Yeah.
or they are doing some interior design work already on their own. But they wanted some very high level inputs in understanding color and how they could use color in their textile business that they're doing,
Yeah.
or interiors that they're doing, and many such small, small inputs they wanted.
Yeah.
So we are trying to work towards very small inputs like understanding color and how to use it, how understanding color interaction and principles, and how to make the best use of that in applied areas like textile design or interiors, color in a space larger than us. How does
Right.
it work? All this. So these are some things that we are working.
I think you're already starting to think the future of design courses or the future of what design education can still be provided to people even by staying at home. So, what do you think the future of design education is?
In my own view, it could be a little sad. Okay, for the simple reason that no, I was just kidding.
That's all right.
Um, Design program, if you look at the way it started to what it is now, it has developed, it has evolved into many, many branches. It has evolved into many branches, and yet it has not lost its original. It has not lost its demand for its original, branches that came up first. More and more branches are coming up. They are picking up the process and they are beautifully adapting, seamlessly adapting it into the new profession. So it is just going to keep growing. It's like English language, it picks up everything from any language and adapts itself into it. So
Yeah.
this profession is going to grow and keep growing continuously. The beauty of it being, it just keeps you so much pushed to be creative. And see, after food and after the basic requirements for us, when we move on, creativity is must.
Must.
We need because it gives us great job satisfaction.
Yeah.
Every day you go up. I mean, if you're not able to crack a problem, you have a sad weekend. In the sense, you're so worried about how to get over it. And when you
Yeah.
crack it, it's such a wonderful feeling, right? The feeling of creation. This profession is there for future. I mean, this is not to say other professions are going to disappear. None of the professions are going to disappear. But one thing very interesting about design profession it is its education side. The
Yeah.
design education is a wonderful experience. There is no doubt about that. I have come across IITians who have said, after being 8 months into a design education program, they've said, oh my God, shit, man, I just know I understand mathematics better than what I used to understand earlier. I'm talking about IITs, right? I mean, people of that caliber is experiencing design influencing their thought process.
Right.
The pedagogy is so wonderful. It's
Wonderful.
such a beautiful system, the way of learning. So it's
Yeah.
going to be there. Okay.
I think we've covered quite a bit about design education and things at Tides, but I think our viewers or new students who would want to join would want to know about the prospects of studying abroad after they graduate from Tides. Because I understand that the program that Tides provide is more of a diploma degree, and it's for a 4-year diploma program. So, uh, just tell me a little more about why a diploma program, and how would that help people to go abroad and do a higher education if they wish to.
Yeah. Um, it's a 5-year diploma program
Okay,
as of
sorry.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, as of now. Elsewhere, it's a 4-year degree program. Maybe a few other institutions are also offering a diploma for 4 years.
Mm.
But we wanted to, for now, we wanted to stay with the diploma program because you have complete autonomy
Mm.
in what you are deciding to teach. And you could adapt very seamlessly to things that are happening and the way the industry is changing, the way the outside world is changing. You could adapt these principles and the way you are teaching, what you're learning. All this could adapt and evolve continuously. It doesn't get locked up into something that was given for an affiliation. Normally, affiliation is definitely it is meant for effectiveness and efficiency. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But like everything that is good, there is a flip side to it. There is a small negative component to it also. Affiliations often bind you into, a predicted or a small area of work. We didn't want to get into that. We wanted to have a lot of freedom in the way we work, in the way the courses are, structured, and the way the inputs are given, and even the way the evaluation happens. It is partly we are working on the course structures and stuff like that, and you won't believe, partly it is the students' effort also. It is not loudly said, but truth is, students are also making the courses happen. It's
Yeah.
not that the faculty is making the courses, bringing it into the class, keeping it there, and the students are taking it and walking away. It's not that way at all. It is partly faculty creating it. With certain ambiguity only we enter into the class, right? So when I enter into the class, I'm not here to say how refrigeration works and reach a specific point. No, I don't know at all. When I give you an assignment on, let's design a stove,
Mm.
cooking stove, actually, I have no idea where we are going to reach.
Reach, right.
So
Right.
we are actually walking into a road where we do not know what the destination is. It's like not even a road actually. We are walking in an open space,
Right.
trying to figure out a road. Trying every time trying to figure out a road.
Just like
So
process learning.
sorry,
Just like process learning, like learning through the.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's only a part that we put on the table. Another part students put on the table. At the end of 5 weeks, they have learned something. We have learned something. It's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So this freedom, and for no reason we want to, you know,
Yeah.
kill.
Feel it. Yeah.
So we want to retain this autonomy. We want to retain this total freedom, and we have kept it 5 years because students normally spend their first 3 years, as the great person Miriam Montessori says, the first 3-4 years in a college level educational program, children are largely engaged into socializing, and the mind is not totally into a serious educational or an academic mindset. So we want to leave that a little bit free on that side, so students can go through it and evolve and come to their own terms. It's the fourth and fifth year where students really buck up and say, oh, I'm here for something very serious. So let me see what I can pick up. So we wanted to give that extra 1 year, the fifth year, for students to really get deep into design issues. I really have a lot of respect for architecture, the 5 years program, and medicine, which is a 5 year program, because these serious programs need that much time to sit through it, because there are no textbooks for design. We read whatever comes our way. So there is not like, if you can have if you have gone through this many textbooks and if you can answer this many questions, you are basically qualified to be so and so. It's not like that. There is no end to what you want to learn and how you want to figure out your own life, right? So um, it becomes. I just missed the track. Sorry.
That's all right. I think I'm understanding why the emphasis on process learning and why an emphasis on an open source academic learning. And I understand that for such a structure, having a degree, I mean, it does not fit into the norms of the degree structure, and it fits into the diploma. And I think it's fair enough, because it's an opportunity for people to explore even the way of learning design. I mean, it's not a very restricted learning. I think that's a good part of having a diploma degree. And I think being from the design background and having had a diploma of 4 years in undergrad, I don't think it's a big issue going abroad. A lot of universities actually accept you on based on portfolio, which I think it's out there. I mean, everybody knows, and I think it's a valid reason for you to be accepted in a university based on your work and not just you having either a degree or a diploma. So I think that clears a lot of questions out.
Can I just add another one more
Yeah,
point?
yes, please. Yes.
It's an interesting video that once I saw. I think it was Discovery Channel or whatever. They had talked about a statue of Nataraja, Shiva,
Yeah.
idol, that was made of an alloy dating back to something like 5,500 years, something like that. So, and he goes on, as the narrator goes on saying, at a point when there was no metallurgy anywhere else in the world, these guys were already processing alloys, not just one metal, processing alloys, and the product seems to have been made out of lost wax casting,
Right.
a process that we use in modern jewelry making, right? Amazing. So the question then that comes to our mind, or that should come to our mind, is a critical one, which is, should we go abroad for higher studies in engineering or architecture? I mean, look at the architecture that is there in our country. Should
Right.
we really go out for doing higher studies in design or architecture or engineering? I seriously don't think so. It's just my personal view.
Yeah.
Look at the medicine treatment systems that we've had.
Yeah.
I know of this person who explains that you could just check the nadis of a person and could really diagnose what is happening in a person's body. I know of a student who has done this in Kerala. The doctor, Mr. Vijay Kumar, was able to just check the nadi and precisely say that a student had a 13 stone in the kidney. You won't believe he was able to say, I think you have a stone in your kidney, which is 10 which is 12 in dia. What precision, man! It's amazing. And he didn't open the kidney to see it, or he did not do any ultrasonic, scanning or whatever. He just touched the nadis to do it.
Yeah.
And I understand that people could, earlier during the king's time and all, you could not go and hold the wrist of the queen. So I believe, a silk thread ran from the hand to the doctor who was sitting outside, and
Oh,
he could just touch the silk thread
and
and yeah, diagnose whether the queen had a male or a female child when she was pregnant. Um, why are we going abroad? I seriously have this.
yeah, I think that is the real question to be asked. Like, do we need to go abroad for further study? Is abroad really that important for you to, really have as part of your education or higher studies program part? Anyway, I think I've covered most, but I think I personally would want to know, since it's an academic learning based program, how do you assess your students? What is your assessment criteria and process?
Um, yeah. Uh, okay. Basically, it's a continuous evaluation process. When a course starts, from that moment onwards, the student's work is being evaluated. Equally, the student's attitude is also being monitored. It's like you cannot be just doing anything and get away with that. So the student is expected, but we are not punishing the student. We are guiding the student to understand that what he is trying to learn here is a very important and serious matter. And he should be able to put in his 100% focus on that particular subject while he is at work. We encourage all kinds of crazy things to do. For example, when the class is going on and when suddenly we have rain, including the faculty, we are there on the rain playing rugby. So
Yeah,
we are fine with having fun like this. But while at work, we are working. While at fun, we are doing fun. Whatever we are doing, we want to do 100% involvement. So continuous evaluation is what we emphasize on. So the student cannot say, okay, when the exam comes, I will read up at the time or prepare at the time and get away with the exam. No way that's going to happen. Every day you have to show a very marginal improvement. I mean, sorry, very good incremental improvement from the first day to the second day to the third day. And it has to become multifold. It cannot be small increments. That's not acceptable. So continuous evaluation is must. Also, a lot of stuff is being compressed into a small time period, and the student has to cope with it. So unless he puts in that kind of a focus and effort, it's not going to happen. But leaving this aside, at the end of the semester, so at the end of the course, the faculty does an evaluation on about at least 13, 14 parameters. Exploration done by the student, understanding of the student's understanding of the assignment, skill level, and global awareness, and an ability to analyze things, ability to synthesize. Likewise, there are about 13, 14 different parameters which we figured out to be important in a student. And the teachers evaluate under these various parameters how a given student is performing. The student performance is not compared with the other students' performance.
right.
It is compared. We compare the student's performance with his earlier performance. What he was able to do last semester or in his last course, we compare that and say, look, you were able to perform very well in your previous course.
Right.
Why are you lagging behind? Why are you not able to put that much effort? It's more like that. So we don't say, look at the other guy. If he can do that much, why can't you do this much? No, we never do that. But that doesn't mean we are really, really ideal. We try to, human errors are always there. We try to minimize it as much as possible. We don't do comparison between
Yeah.
two different students. While this is there, at the end of the semester, we have what is called a jury. It's more like a viva. You are given about 15-20 minutes to put up all your semester's work, and you are expected to give a presentation on the assignment that you did and what your learning was. And the panel members are about 7 or 8 faculty members and industry experts who are sitting in the panel, and they are going to be asking you questions to understand to what level you have understood the concepts, or you understand the necessary inputs that you were supposed to take in a given class. So the jury panel members are going to ask you all kinds of questions. And what is the beauty of this jury is, it is almost the same as a typical professional design environment, where you are ready with your concepts and you want to show it to your client, and there are going to be some 7 or 8 people, production engineers, material engineers, the client, the owner, the marketing guys. All these guys are going to be sitting there, and they're going to ask you questions in all kinds of ways and all kinds of manners. And you have to live with it, and you have to sail through it. And you have to maintain your cool, and ensure that objectively what you've done right has to finally go in for production. You have to do that communication bit. So this jury is like a fantastic simulation of what happens in reality. Uh, it is one of the best systems that we have picked it up from our college times, and we are continuing to execute it here too. So this is basically how evaluation happens, and there is no need for copying, and because there are no textbooks, there is nothing for you to memorize.
Right.
However, you are expected to perform really good in a creative way. What happens is, when you have to read something only to write in your exam, we are not so much involved in it. But when you have to read something because you want to apply that learning, that material somewhere, your reading becomes automatically meaningful. You will remember things automatically. You
Yeah.
don't have to struggle to remember.
Yeah.
Right? As our conventional process in the schools and all go, we are expected to remember something and write it in the exam without knowing why we are reading up on all these things. Whereas
Right.
over here, you are not even told what you should read about. You are not
Absolutely.
told that you should read about refrigeration or freon or ammonia or whatever. You are expected to redesign a refrigerator, and you go and figure out what you have to read. And when you read it with that kind of an attitude, you will remember, period, end of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think that was a good in-depth discussion on design, a way of life, and career too. And I also see a pattern of similarity in your way of teaching at Tides to when you explain what design, a way of life is. I think you've adapted well in the way you have shown or you've expressed about how education system or design education at Tides is there. um, I think we've covered most of it, but I have a few questions from the audience which I'd like to ask you, if that's all right with you.
Yes, please, please.
Yes. So the first question is it so that if we are graduated from NIFT, UCEED, NID, then we would have a successful life ahead or not?
Um, no, let's say initially, if let's bring an interesting parallel. If let's say we are doing an interview, right? And if we come across two types of people, one type of person who has shirt neatly ironed, tie worn properly, polished shoes, etc., the likelihood of trusting him is more than a person who walks in with a typically like a designer walks in with a ruffled hair and a cool t-shirt and all that. But all this is just skin deep, no? It is going to last for some time till I get to do a project with that person and everything gets revealed. I understand what his capabilities are. Till that point, yes, this outwardly experience matters a lot. But eventually, it is your performance that is going to keep you going. So likewise here too, the first story is yes, if there is a good, if the college name or the institute that you're coming from is only the starting point. That doesn't, I don't want to demean that, I don't want to bring it down. It is important. But what is more important is after that, what you're doing in your, while you are professionally involved in a project, what you're doing there matters more than where you are coming from. No, definitely that works. It
Yeah.
is more like that.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit for somebody to know that, oh, you're coming from an idea or you're coming from yeah, it helps a little bit.
Yeah.
But after that, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
We have come across guys who have not gone to schooling at all, and they are running some of the really big industries in Coimbatore and elsewhere in India too. I don't know. Sometimes we can even go to the extent of questioning: does schooling and all these colleges and other things, is it really important for you to be uh, uh, doing great as a person who's earning? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that matters much. We should start seeing as education as giving us something other than a means to only earn. We should start looking at it that way.
Yeah. Okay, I hope you've answered the person's question. The next question is, in short, could you say how design impacts an engineer and an architect?
Sorry, how design?
How design could impact an engineer or an architect?
You were asking in terms of if they take this up for studying, is it?
For
If they
study.
take it up as, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it'll be amazing. Um, and two important good reasons for it. It also answers the previous question. Industry doesn't really look for uh, 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 probably it has never seen most designers certificate. It has never seen it till date. I've not heard of any designer saying, yeah, this industry asked for my certificate, so I showed them. It has never happened. I don't even know where my certificate is. It's all kept safe. So industry is not worried about it. Industry is looking at what you can really perform on the field, in the field, right? Having said that, industry can see one interesting benefit from people who have an engineering background. That is, I'm talking about industries that are into manufacturing of products. They can see one interesting benefit with people who have an engineering background, which is that industry has a lot of engineering complexities and a good lot of products that we see today without an engineer, it's impossible. Let's look at this Concorde, an airplane that takes off and moves at the speed of light. Speed of sound, sorry. Uh, and amazing. Whenever I see it in a video, it's there only in a video nowadays. It's
Yeah.
not in real. Whenever I see an aeroplane take off and land safely, I keep saying, wow, what an engineering, right?
Yeah.
I keep saying that. Fine. So engineer's role is amazing. Nobody can deny that. But so the industry is largely dependent on engineers to function amazingly. But they would appreciate uh, a combination of engineers with design inputs as one team, and they also appreciate designers from school background. The reason being, designers from background do not have the engineering input with them, which often restricts them a little bit. We should accept it. There is no, it's not a big issue. But the more and more I know about a plastic material or about materials or structures, the less I take the risk. No, naturally, I will not think differently about it. So a fresh designer can come up with very interesting ideas because he has not learned the do nots yet. So he's definitely a far more creative thinker. So if the industry can employ engineers, engineers with the design inputs and pure designers, that is from plus two, from school background, it works amazing for an industry. So engineers with design background will be definitely a big advantage for engineers. Today, particularly, uh, engineers, there are a lot of engineers who are who have finished their graduation and are looking for jobs because the supply has been on the higher side and the demand has reduced for whatever reasons. uh, Engineering with design background is going to be it is already a big welcome in the industry.
Okay.
That is on one side, and architects will find uh, they will not find it difficult to pick up design skills because they are also designers about on space and other things. But the foundation program in design is good. That is something that they will really enjoy. And otherwise, I'm personally of this view that architects, um, it will be interesting for architects to do the foundation program in design. And beyond that, I mean, they already know the rest of the story. I don't think it is like I'm designing my own house. I have not consulted an architect. I have consulted a civil engineer only for one particular doubt that I had. But I'm able to justify the visual design or structural design in the house. It has gone a lot with the Laurie Baker style of philosophy into it. And it is okay with me. I was able to do that. Likewise, I think architects, if they can have a foundation in design, which is unique to design programs, which is why I'm saying it. There's nothing otherwise. Architects will do wonderful. There's no, and many industrial designers abroad are architects turned industry.
Yes, yes, I do know that. One last question. What are the criteria for joining into doing undergrad in design? Like, I think it's a +2 student who is asking this. Like, what background should they need to have to be able to apply for a course in design?
Okay. We used to have this interesting poster of the +2 and the 10th standard or the 11th standard exam question paper, where the question paper is filled with the eyes, lips, nose, teeth, and stuff like that. If anybody's question paper or an answer sheet is filled with these visuals instead of the answer for the questions, all the students are the right material for learning design and architecture.
Okay.
Right. That was just on the lighter side, but drawing is an important skill because we use drawing to communicate the idea that we have in our mind. But a student interested in anything on the art side, which is music, dance, theater, sculpture, painting, anything like that, including drawing, etc., are welcome to design. Well, that doesn't mean the others should not. Ultimately, what is it all about? It is a basic and an innate nature in humans to confront a situation and try to move on to resolving it. Nobody can get out of it. We all keep doing that. We all keep solving problems every day in and day out. It's just that we are retuning, redirecting that energy towards a specific kind of problem solving, which is either product design or furniture design or communication design and so on. That's all that we are doing. We cannot build into a student or a person a quest for problem solving. It's already there. We take that energy and we are just simply redirecting. Many people question this thing of should I be good in drawing? It's about, you simply see it as a communication tool. We should be able to talk well. Likewise, we should be able to draw well. Simple. But it is still a secondary requirement. The most important requirement here is a mind that constantly looks for usability issues and has the eagerness to resolve it creatively, meaningfully, keeping in mind place issue, which is environment, and any child is welcome. We have no restrictions on that.
Yeah.
And any age group is also welcome. We used to have a student earlier where the student was in the third year and the mother was also studying in foundation.
Oh,
And yeah, so we welcome all age groups, all people to be involved in design learning.
great. That's fantastic. Can we do one more question? I just got another question. Is it all right to do one last question?
Absolutely no problem.
Going back to the question of studying abroad or not trying to learn the ways of Western design, if a student professionally decides to stay in India instead and create an innovative startup that tries to save age-old medicinal practices and craft, how much does the current economics and politics in India help me do that? Should I wrap it up again for you, or you understood?
um,
It was a long question.
difficult to answer question also.
Yeah.
Yes, the current politics uh, is a hindrance, but very little that we can do. No, I think the right response to this would be that uh, the as typically what an institution can do, the institution can work out and keep evolving a good learning material and content and make sure, work out a wonderful facility and infrastructure that can enable students to pick up this wonderful content and keep evolving. There is no end to it. This is what an institution can do. But there is a big quotient that is waiting outside, which is the student can be made aware in the college environment that such a outside environment is sitting there for you, waiting to eat you out. But the rest has to be field experience. I don't know if there is any way to make it part of an educational educational component. Um, I think that is the way
Yeah.
I would see it.
And I also think you need to try it. I mean, you're not going to know until you put into it. So
Yeah,
you got to
exploration
make
is
a decision. Yeah, yeah. I think it all comes with the challenges. I think, like you said, it's a very responsible act design. So I think it comes with a lot of responsibility and challenge, and for you to be able to make a decision. Yeah. So all
But
that
no,
said,
it also has another story. See, one side these can be pressures of whether a polity is allowing you to perform in a certain way or not. All this is pressures that you can. But you also have the other side in your hand. Nobody stops you from educating the end user. No,
yeah,
the end user decides what is going to be sold in Coimbatore today.
right,
The end user decides that. If
right,
the end user is going to say no to a given product, nobody can sell the damn product here.
right.
So it's in the hands of the end user.
End user.
So you have a complete free hand to manipulate the end user's mind. If you can educate him and change his understanding of what is right and wrong, yes, it's going to be a time-consuming process because we have on one side education and schooling and news and this and that the other. That's giving you one kind of thinking process and what is right and wrong, and you have in your own analysis and connection with the traditional knowledge, which tells you, hey, what's happening is wrong and I want to do something about it. You have that urge. So uh, this, if you try to take it to the end user, he it will take time to make a change in his mind, but the little that we have changed is because somebody educated us, right?
Right.
So education and constantly bombarding this new thoughts and making people do what I go back to this word that you earlier used to describe my interest in education, critical thinking. If
Thinking.
we constantly keep influencing the idea of critical thinking into the end user, I think slowly we will have people getting to understand what is right. And that is one way to ensure, real quality living, getting in connection with what we used to do 700 years back.
So,
Hope that answers the question.
yes, I hope so too. So, thank you everyone for being a part of this webinar. I hope this webinar has been educational. And thank you, sir, for sharing your experience about design. But before I let you go, I would request you to recommend some good reads, some good books for our audience that can help them understand design as a way of life. So, any recommendations?
So here are some good books. There's one on design of everyday things by Don Norman. There are two books written by this author. There is one book here on basic typography design. This is a good book. Since the lockdown has happened, whatever books I have in my home, I'm just showing them. A century of design to understand more in depth what's happening in design and all that. And we have an interesting book by Bob Gill, Forget All the Rules of Graphic Design. It says, including the ones in this book. An amazing book on, amazing book to, kick you off to doing creative thinking. Fantastic book. And the book has, every page is a design work of him, It's amazing. But this is on Western authors. But on the Indian side, we have wonderful books. Because design, again, going back to one of your earlier questions of going abroad, design is strongly culture connected. So if I go study it abroad and come back here, the question is of, yes, there is a lot of exposure to countries abroad, and what's happening abroad is always a good thing. There's no doubt about that. But travel and seeing places would be more of a better choice. This is my personal view, than spending a huge amount as educational fee in studying abroad. So traveling would make a wonderful difference. Traveling and seeing places, seeing architectural monuments, architectural excellence in other countries, looking at other cultures, looking at other people's ways of living, etc., and the food style that they adopt, wonderful it is. I would recommend more of that experience when traveling. But coming back to the story of books, we have one interesting book by Kumar Vyas. I would call him the father of design in India, called Design and Environment, a wonderful book. Another book by a great professor, Professor Balram, which is on design thinking, a wonderful book. Design Questions, another nice book. And these are some Indian books I would recommend. And you would notice that another interesting book is by Design for the Real World by Victor Papanek. It's a very good book on how he reduces, how he gets down to designing for just ordinary people on the road, how he uses design understanding and engineering understanding for ordinary people on the road. A very amazing book. But anybody reading these 4 or 5 books would understand, yes, design for India is a wonderful challenge, because our nation or our country, I'm not sure what to call it, has 29, 30 different states with hundreds of different cultures, so many different languages and dialects. Can you think of any other country where communication design of, let's say, a poster for AIDS or a poster for family planning can be so complicated, because you have to print it in 30 different languages or whatever number of languages. Try to manage or manipulate the content presented there for different cultures, all of it for only one country. I don't know. So design in India is definitely far more challenging. We know many advertisements where for the same product, we can see different actors from different languages. For the same product, same script, right? That
Absolutely.
says how interesting, challenging our country is. What else do we want?
Thank you, sir. It has been wonderful talking to you. I hope you enjoyed having this webinar as well.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for hosting this. That were a good set of questions. I think it covered, it covered almost everything that is.
Thank you.
And
And for our audience, in case you have any more queries that you want to know more about, even if it's about knowing about more about the college, please drop us an email at contact us at talaleducation.in, or you can visit our website www.talaleducation.in. Again, thank you for this wonderful audience, and stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I also take this opportunity to thank all the audience. Thank you very much. I hope this was very a rich experience, useful to you. And of course, for some personal vested interest, and also for interest of so many students who are not aware of design education being available in Coimbatore or in the south or within India itself. So many have missed out this opportunity. Please spread this word around. Design is a wonderful learning subject to learn.
It's a way of
And
life, sir.
yeah. So for that experience and that enjoyment of learning, please spread this word around. More and more students should make use of this opportunity at this particular age to study design.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. You can keep yourself updated if you want to know more about what are the next sessions going to be. So thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.